For the next 2 weeks, my seniors are going to be completing a collaborative project between calculus and physics and engineering, which we mostly do with woodworking. My partner and I had this idea to show rotations or integrations of lines by cutting the shapes into books and then using a page from that book to show the surface area below the line that was traced onto the book. These are going to get mounted on these nice panels that the students will make using all the skills we've learned in woodworking up to this point. This is the final one, but this is the prototype that I made first. I just drew a shape on a book and cut it out using the bandsaw, and then opened the book and squished it in between these two pieces of plywood just to hold it open and display it in its full glory. Once everybody makes one of their own, I want to display them in this little nook of a hallway in the school and make like this grid. I think it'll be really cool if there's a bunch of them all aligned together, because you can run your hand along all of them and flip all the pages, and I think it'll be really neat. So on the very first day, after I showed everybody my model, I told them just to sit down with a pencil and a paper and draw out a line or a shape that they thought would look really cool. And for this first part, it's not really important that the line really makes sense. I just wanted to make something and try it out on the bandsaw and then see what looks good and what doesn't look good, as well as figure out what is easy to cut and what's not very easy to cut. And then I'll have them take those shapes into math class, and with their math teacher they'll try and describe the line that they just cut out. And some of them might find that theirs is really hard to describe or theirs is too easy to describe. That back and forth I think is going to help us get some really good products. Yeah, so for the backs of these things where the book is mounted, I showed the kids these cutting boards that previous classes has made. And I showed them how you can line up different types of wood to get cool lines and effects. And a lot of kids got excited about that idea. And I also showed them my model where I just used a plain piece of plywood, but I gave it a walnut edge banding, because I want the kids to use this as an opportunity to show off everything that they've learned in woodworking this year and put in some nice detail and technique. Really, everyone's just making a 10 by 10 square out of whatever they want, and then they'll cut it in half, and when you push those two halves together, that's how you keep the book open. This project has a lot of student choice in it because they're choosing what shape to make, and it's fun seeing them be really creative when they have the ability to just make whatever they want to make within these specific constraints. And because they came up with the idea, it's their project and the math has to do with their project, and they really seem to be enjoying it. Here's a couple of the first prototypes that got finished. This one is just a line that the student drew. It kind of looks like a royal crest or something. And then this one is the letter E, a big capital E that got spun around, and it makes this cool stacked set of discs. And then we have this Christmas tree, which is neat. The student painted the edges of this, and so it kind of glows along the side. We'll see if the class wants to paint them all. That'd be fun. This tree would be a pretty complex line to describe, and so I'm interested to see if they stick with this or if they simplify it for the sake of the math. And this one reminds me of my prototype, kind of this elongated face, but it has a lot more character than mine did. Well, that's everything for part one, and in the next video we'll see their final designs and see if anything changed.